You know, I've been wondering why we don't have an actual stage. I mean, we do this backstage meeting, and as far as I can tell, it's in the same place as the regular shows that we do of Right Angle. Am I mistaken, or am I just facing the wrong direction?
Budget cuts.
Money, baby, money.
Yeah.
You don't understand how much money it costs to run a stage all the time.
We don't even have any fly space here, you know, where the sets can be pulled up into the ceiling or anything. There's no ropes, no pulleys, no sandbags.
Bill won't even let me have an orchestra pit.
We're trying to spend our members' money wisely.
I had an olive pit yesterday, but that's about as close as I've gotten. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I have 3 orchestra pits, and I thought at this point we just can't afford
afford
another
a
one.
fourth one.
To be honest with you.
That's just smart budgeting.
I'm grateful for the armpits. That's I've got 2 of those, and that's all I need. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and this backstage episode of Right Angle is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. And somehow we got in this weird, tumultuous kind of scheduling thing where it seems like now every week I'm going to do the members only episode. It started out with Steve being a nice guy and filling in for me one week when I had something happen that I couldn't do it. And now I just feel like it's always my turn. I'm always up.
Yeah, Bill and I made a decision while you were gone. And it's now the Scott Ott members only episode.
Previously, I thought only I had access to the Google Calendar that we share, and then I discovered that it's actually I'm the only one that reads it. I think that you guys are able to update it, though. So here's what I'm thinking. I had a bunch of potential topics this week, none of which panned out the way I would like. Donald Trump is still president of the United States. What can you do? So this is...
He's kidding.
That's right. No. Bring it on. So, doesn't it seem like every day you read the paper and it's like some other terrible thing's going to bring him down? And Judge Napolitano this week, this is not my topic, but Judge Napolitano on Fox News in a conversation with the man formerly known as conservative newscaster Shep Smith was talking about how there definitely charges that could be brought against the president as a result of the FBI investigation. I don't think Napolitano was saying that he wished such a thing.
He was just saying it was possible. It's within the realm.
He was just saying that based on what he's seen so far from the transcripts of the Flynn interviews and from the other things that have happened, the Cohen confession, that it very well could be that there's an indictment that happens.
Except you can't indict a sitting president.
Well, yes, and then they had that issue, and then there's also a statute of limitations issue. So if you can't indict a sitting president, and there's I forget what it is, 4 or 5 year statute of limitations or something like that, even if they kind of secretly indicted him now and then unveiled it the day he steps down from office or he leaves the office, they may run into the statute of limitations issue. So in any case, he's still president of the United States. Everything's great. America is great again. So here's what I did see, though. There's a story about how the president, as you know, has already launched his 2020 reelection campaign. He announced that way earlier this year. He has this political operative named Chris Carr who is pulling together this operation. And in an unusual way this time around, the Trump team is essentially taking over the RNC. Now, and the whole election operation. Yeah. In the past, the president of the United States has always been sort of the nominal head of his party, but the party would do its thing and the presidential campaign would do its thing, and they try to, talk to each other to help each other out, but they weren't under one roof. And apparently they are not only figuratively, but literally going to be under one roof this time, sharing everything, coordinating everything. And part of you goes, well, gee, isn't that great that the Republicans have finally figured out how to operate an efficient business machine? And then you start wondering, wait a minute, is this coordination or conquest? And what does it do to the primary process when already the guy who is, our Republican candidate for president next time around is running the party that handles the whole nominating process.
Well, I'm thinking George H.W. Bush, if he were still alive, would be thinking, man, why didn't I think of that in 1992? I could have shut Pat Buchanan down, which went a long way to crippling his re-election chances.
I think HW is saying, why didn't I think of that when I was at the CIA?
Right?
I just had like an overwhelming panic attack at the thought of losing the unbelievable competitive edge that the razor-sharp minds of the RNC have provided us over the years.
Well, you know, and I'd hate to carry this too far, but if I don't raise the question, it will be raised on the left. So this is my lot in life. But there are countries where the president of the country is also the general secretary of the party. And those countries are generally not beacons of freedom around the world.
Such as Great Britain.
Well, that's not the country I was thinking of.
Well, I know, but it's true. The prime minister is also the head of the political party in power.
Of labor or whatever.
In fact, isn't every parliamentary system?
But do they actually, are they the like operational chief, like they're running the party?
Well, I don't think anybody's run the Tories in about 20 years. I'm not sure about labor.
Well, in any case, I thought it was interesting, both from the perspective of, hey, do you think the Republicans will get their act together this time, as also what are the downsides of having a sitting president do
I
that?
like that. Nuts and bolts.
It's, yeah, and boy, that's a way to sell it. Some good, this is a pants folder. This is a real stem winder.
We have bullet points.
Kids, back in the day, we used to have to wind our watches. Now you only have to do that at Fossil. So that is one of my topic suggestions. The other one is a column, and I think part of me wants to just give you the headline of this column, and that'll be the whole show. It's written by a Clemson philosophy professor, and it's under the headline in the New York Times, "Would human extinction be a tragedy?"
Yeah, you first, buddy.
And it starts out almost with the assumption that that's the way things are going. You know, like that's because of course, guess, what do you think it is? What is the reason why human extinction could be a reality?
Climate
Is it
change.
a half a degree rise in temperature centigrade over the course of 100 years?
It could be related to that. It's
curious.
It's not the bubonic plague. So in any case, I thought it was interesting, and I just want to focus on a couple of sentences all the way at the end of the article where, I guess part of me just wonders what kind of guy wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'll submit a column to the New York Times about whether or not human extinction would be a good idea.
A guy who wants to get some points at a cocktail party, among other suicidal left-wing lunatics who's so bored with life and so devoid of any kind of a genuine sense of accomplishment that nothing short of SMOD will make their day.
There is a not insignificant contingent of the human race who actually seems to professes this belief that the planet would be better off without us. But you don't see them drinking any Jim Jones Kool-Aid to really prove their point.
Well, and it's that what you just said, Steve. It's the you first, buddy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay,
we wouldn't start at the top when the winnowing happens,
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that would make an interesting topic, and I guess that just sort of answers the question: how does the New York Times continue to get subscribers? It's with compelling content like, wouldn't it be better off if all our subscribers were dead?
New York Times to readers, drop dead.
But now I'm going to, since it's going to be obviously happening, I'm just going to start by canceling my subscription now. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, the best fake New York Times headline of all time. This came out, somebody put this up on the internet, I think around the mid-90s. It said, world to end tomorrow. Women and minorities affected most.
Yeah, that's a hardest hit. Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
it is still possible to parody the Times.
So that's what I got going. And Stephen Green, by the way, I know you told me this before. What the heck is that on your cup?
That is the symbol of the Rebel Alliance from the first 3 Star Wars movies.
Ah. See, I'm looking at it. I'm like, it looks like a combination of a fleur-de-lis and some sort of martial arts fighting star thing.
It's a pathetic logo. I hate it. I hated it the first time I saw it. It's so weak. It looks like a bird, a soft bird. The Imperial logo looks like a like the implosion of antimatter that's going to sterilize, an entire arm of the galaxy. That's more along my lines.
Maybe it's that Methodist Holy Spirit crashing dove kind of thing, but just without the head on it.
That's kind of it.
I think it's
supposed to look like a stylized bird.
All righty. So Stephen Green, what's gotten under your skin this week that you'd like to talk about?
We've got another Get Woke, Go Broke story.
Oh, good.
This time it's the Boy Scouts of America. Excuse me, it's the Scouts. As you probably know, they changed their name.
I did not know that.
Because they're letting girls in. The only problem is they can't keep their finances up. And they hired a big shot bankruptcy attorney out of Chicago last week to handle their Chapter 11. They haven't actually filed yet. But between two things, lawsuits from scouts who have endured sexual abuse at the hands of scout leaders, the guys sent there to train them to be men, and dwindling membership.
Maybe related to the former.
It's Chapter 11 time.
Yeah.
Hang on. Scott, I've got no audio all of a sudden.
Well, if we have audio of you, so you can just keep pretending that.
Hang on, you're breaking up.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
This is the backstage part.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Hang on.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to
continue with the show.
There we
Scott.
go.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
Yeah. You're coming back now. Okay, that's
rolling
better.
On.
There you go. You're good. I can hear you. So you were saying, my bad.
Yes, it's the Scouts formerly identified as boy. You wonder how many of the parents in this day and age, are willing to send their kids off on a weekend camping trip with people that they don't know. I remember even raising our children. I didn't want to send them off to some other family's house, not knowing these parents, not knowing what could happen. And it was, as far as I know, that thought never entered the heads of my parents or the friends of my parents or anywhere when we used to, go hang out with our friends.
My dad was an Eagle Scout, and he was a very low BS tolerant kind of guy. Had there been anything wrong going on, he would not have remained a Scout. In fact, he was so serious about it, he made Eagle when he was 14,
wow.
which is the youngest age you can possibly make Eagle Scout. He was gung ho, and those days are over, I'm afraid.
Well, I had a terrific experience in Cub Scouts, all the way up to the
so did I.
The ill-named Weeblos. Whoever came up with that name.
The Weeblos were the end of the line.
That's right.
With their precious little, plaid freaking
come now, those were lovely.
That's right.
It was terrible. The neckerchief was awesome. You look like the Blue Angels, and the blue and the gold was fantastic. And then they say, "Yeah, we can be the Weebelows." And what the hell was a Weebelo anyway? Anybody remember?
Yeah, the little slogan. It was supposedly stood for "We'll be loyal friends." I'm like, that blows. What is that? Weebelos.
Just horrible. But you couldn't fill out your diamond patch.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for all the
without the Weebelos.
We probably have Weebelo leaders who are watching this, but I will tell you what actually happened was my grandfather, who raised us, me and my three brothers together, or three of my brothers together. He was the scoutmaster for the entire troop. And then he was also the den leader or whatever for our little group of Weebelos. So we had Weebelos meeting in our house.
Yep.
Yeah. And I got to be kind of an assistant leader with him. So he kind of would use me to run the stopwatch when they were doing sprints and stuff like that. So I felt like I had an important role there. But once I got into Boy Scouts, I had a horrible experience.
Really?
It was like, I felt like it was a hazing thing. Like my fraternity in college was better than and being in Boy Scouts. And finally it ended when our scoutmaster of our little troop, or whatever the gathering was they call, left his wife for another woman and took the funds of the troop with him.
That's America.
Man.
Like moved. So I can understand why they might have problems. So where are we going with this though, Steve?
We're going to talk about the whole get woke, go broke thing, because I think that they could have fixed what was wrong with the organization and maintained or grown their membership had they stuck to actual scouting
principles.
That's
right. If they dug in and that's right, and just stuck with the basics and not been intimidated. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I've got a great example to prove my point, but I'm going to save that for the actual show.
Sounds good. Okay, William of Whittle. What is that shirt you're wearing, by the way? I noticed now I'm noticing icons and logos today. Does that say Navy?
United States Navy.
United States
Nice.
Navy. I'll bet you.
I am an unabashed Navy
How much you want to
partisan.
bet, Steve?
Don't tell my Air Force father-in-law.
How much you want to bet that Bill did not walk into a Walmart and buy that shirt, but that there's a great story behind it?
I bet there's a great story behind it. Bill?
I walked into this Walmart and I saw this Navy shirt there.
But it was a great Walmart.
And I decided to buy it. It was the Walmart on Guantanamo Bay, but I don't see what that has to do with anything.
No.
So anyway, yeah, I'm thinking about making this a double header, a twofer. I definitely want to do Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez announces a self-care break before the congressional session even starts, and so she's going to begin her congressional career by taking a vacation on other people's dime. Socialism.
That's the most Democrat thing
Socialism
ever.
I've been meaning to ask you about such a thing, actually.
So socialism doesn't get any clearer than that, and not only that, but the way. And I almost went with Montana man claims he was shot by gunmen who mistook him for Bigfoot. If it had been Florida man, I would have done it for sure.
That's right.
I need that for next week's lightning round.
No, but she says, I mean, it's the language, right? Like, listen to this. I'm taking a few days to take care of myself before what is sure to be an eventful term. For working people, immigrants, and the poor, self-care is political, not because we want it to be, but because of the inevitable shaming of someone doing a face mask while financially stressed.
You know what the problem is with self-crucifixion? It's getting in that last nail. And that's where she is right now.
So she is literally identifying with the shame of a person who's poor but who still goes to a salon and has a mask treatment done. Like, what a shameful, like,
to feel better
you
about
shouldn't
their
have to be
politics.
ashamed of going and spending $95 to have a face mask applied.
I don't think that's exactly what she was talking about.
What was
but
she
I
saying?
think doing a face mask means basically, you're stressed, you're financially stressed, you're poor, and so even though you are being beaten down by the capitalist death machine, you still have to wear a smile and say yes, sir, and good morning, and all the rest of those other fascist things that are part of life here in the United States of America.
It's
and
not a cucumber tea tree oil mask.
No, and she also says. So I've decided to take others along with me on IG. I don't know what IG is.
Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
Get hip.
Thank you.
Get woke.
Yep. As I learn what self-care even means and why it's important. She's a 29-year-old person who's going to be one of 535 people who live in a democracy, and she doesn't know what self-care means or why it's important.
Wow.
Until now.
I have a theory
now
about
that somebody
this.
else is paying for it, now she can explore the wonders of self-care and
somebody at American Spectator last week wrote a really good piece about her and Nancy Pelosi, explaining that Nancy Pelosi has seen a lot of young firebrand Democrats come along, and Nancy Pelosi has shut them down. And that's exactly what's going to happen to occasional Cortex if she doesn't get her act together. And I will bet you that she either read the column, somebody read the column to her with smaller words, or somebody from Pelosi's office said, listen, kid, you got to shape up. And that's exactly what's going on here. She got the smackdown, or she's self-administering the smackdown, so that she doesn't end up on the subcommittee for pencil studies instead of something a little more high
that's
profile.
absolutely right. She's committed the one cardinal sin of the left, and that's basically told people what their philosophy really is, and that is not something that can be tolerated. I was thinking about combining that with another story. I was thinking about calling this thing a tale of two lefties. Brooklyn Senator Kevin Parker tells GOP staffer to kill yourself. Tweeted out "kill yourself" to her. Now here's why she's supposed to kill herself. This woman who's supposed to kill herself found out that one of these kind of parking things that you get in Washington, if you're a representative, if you're a lawmaker, you can basically park anywhere. Well, she found a car was blocking the road, and it's parc blanche, exactly, well said. And it turned, if I understand this correctly, it was this Democratic senator's parking permit, but it wasn't his car. So he's basically just handing it out like popcorn or giving it to people, which is illegal. And so she says, so he either used it in another car or gave it to someone to use, both of which are not permitted. Geov tweeted, that's the GOP woman, and then Parker responded with this: "Kill yourself." He tweeted at 11:26, and the best part of this, of course, is after he immediately deletes his tweet and issues an apology rather. He then goes on to say that this woman who called him out, Candace is nothing but an internet troll. To call her anything more is fake news. At the end of the day, she's someone who continues to represent the forces of evil and is on the wrong side of history for every important issue facing the state.
Wow.
Like, being, like following the law and pointing out because the thing about this kind of corruption is that this is the lowest level this is just the lowest level of corruption.
It is literally petty
It's
corruption.
the level, though, that
It's
says
just
more about character than anything, because you can one might almost be able to explain away much more intense levels of corruption where you're trading favors for
$100 million,
$50,000 in cash, or whatever. But when you're literally like trading a parking pass for your soul. And by the way, I felt like when you said that he tweeted out, it should have said, "Kill yourself," he explained.
And then it goes, and here's some more of his apology. Even though I probably used the wrong words. Yeah, you probably did. Does anyone ask her why she spends her day trolling individual senators? Trolling senators, in other words, pointing out publicly their various crimes and peccadillos, instead of trying to get her conference on the right message that is in line with the values of the people of the state of New York, Parker said. The values of the people of the state of New York, presumably, are the values of just handing out parking permits to whoever you see fit because you got elected, and now the cash machine is yours, and they're just lovely people. Honestly, they're just lovely.
This is like the congressional version of those stories we keep seeing, and they got really big in the '80s about all the UN diplomats who double park, do whatever they want, and just throw out the tickets because they can't
of parking
be held.
Tickets and ran over pedestrians. Diplomatic immunity,
Can't be held to account, and so they get away with this stuff. And here we've got somebody on Twitter trying to hold, what was it, a U.S. senator, an actual U.S. senator?
No, state senator, I think.
State senator, but trying to hold an elected official to account on just a really tiny issue, and being told to drop dead for
being told to drop dead is one thing. He said kill yourself.
Oh, kill yourself! Yeah,
that's a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
And by the way, on the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez matter, part of which what you left out was that this new lifestyle of hers is in stark contrast to what she had become accustomed to before she started running for office, when she was enjoying 3 or 4 yoga sessions per week, where she had a lot of time to relax and read and write. And now, since she hit the campaign trail, she was eating at fast food restaurants, falling asleep in her jeans, and my goodness, in her blue jeans, falling asleep in the blue jeans. I know if anybody in the audience needs to take a moment and just kind of absorb the impact of that.
Makes Stalingrad feel like Disneyland.
You ever wake up in a puddle of your own sick?
So she's basically saying,
I would at least respect that. I mean, that
right.
Yeah,
and I don't know why.
No, that was Dana Carvey doing Jimmy Stewart on as a guest on Johnny Carson.
What she's basically saying is she's basically saying, look, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to actually have a job, and I need to take a lot of time off to prepare myself for the rigors of this, because apparently they want me there 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Like 3 days a week.
Fascist,
no, 3.
3?
3. Congress works, 3, maybe 4 days a week.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I wish they'd work 1 day a year.
Sure.
Well, they do. I know they get off early because they have to go
less.
home for the weekend, or they want to go home for the weekend. But it's I don't know what it is about me, but when I hear even a phrase like self-care, that's it.
That's what it is. That's what made the story make me want to do it.
Just the idea that somebody's talking about focusing.
She couldn't
on
just
self-care.
say no. Listen, because yes, because and this is the part of it. This is why I've got a problem with it. If she had basically said, "Listen, I just ran a year-long campaign and it was tough being on the road, so I'm going to take a week off and I'm just going to kind of catch my breath, get myself together, and come back 10, fit and rest." Yeah, exactly. But no, she's going to discover self-care, and she's not wearing the mask of one of the economically disadvantaged who have to suffer through life without ever taking any time off.
Do you know how hard it is to tend bar after getting a worthless degree from Boston University on somebody else's dime?
No. It's got to be hell.
I just picture her.
It's got to be
I
a
picture her
living
doing
hell.
a Humperdinck's little speech to the six-fingered to Count Rogan in Princess Bride, where he's talking about all the things he has to get done, and
Yes.
and then
I've got a wife to kill and a country to invade.
I'm swamped. And the other guy goes, "If you don't have your health, you don't have anything."
Have anything.
Well, let's roll this
meatball,
hot
whatever
dog
it is.
stand. Why don't we?
Yes,
Yeah, I think
we
got
shall do
shows
that,
here.
ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to making this week's episodes of Right Angle almost as much as you enjoy watching these episodes, and we are grateful for that. We thank.
It hurts that much. Yeah.
We try to put a smiling face on it, but we really need to take some self-time.
We do.
To concentrate
We need to
on
take some
us.
time for ourselves.
For whatever reason, I feel like the word self-care should
For self-care.
appear.
For self-care, because it's
It appears
important.
on a box of Q-tips. I'm almost certain. Phrase. So we are grateful to the members at BillWhittle.com who have contributed to this enterprise anywhere from $9.95 a month up to $549.45 a year to be part of spreading these conversations around the world, of hearing these bedrock principles enunciated in ways that are engaging and that give you an opportunity to share it with your friends. We're grateful for that. We're grateful for every person who's subscribed at YouTube. And there's a little icon on there. It looks like a bell. It looks alarmingly like a Liberty Bell. In fact, it kind of resembles this. And if you...
Hey!
I don't know if you've ever noticed that I've had this here. This actually...
I never have. We should ring that at the end of
This-
every single
and,
episode. I'm as
And every
serious as I can
time
be.
a bell rings, Stephen Green gets another shot. This I actually got at Independence Hall or that complex around there, or at the Constitution Center or the Liberty Bell, whatever. I bought it in Philadelphia. But there's a little shape that looks like this that allows you to... Oh, it locked up. You can get notifications of our videos. And so when a video posts at 5:30 Central Time in the morning, you get an email into your inbox so you don't miss a single one of them. And so if you...
I just want to say,
gotta do
yes,
that.
Could you hold that up again, Scott? Yeah, I got to tell you, I've never been to Philadelphia, but I really had imagined it was larger than that. I really had,
Yeah, me too.
and I would have thought that the sound would have been a little, I don't know. I guess
Well,
it's just the
see,
angles.
More impressive, yeah.
I am
went, but I was
very-
only 12
I
or
have to admit it, I'm
13.
disappointed.
Frankly, I
so it
bought
looked
this
bigger
one.
to me.
This
I'm
is
very
not
disappointed.
the genuine Liberty Bell, but I bought this one because the real one it's got a big freaking
No.
crack in it. It's broken. It doesn't even have it can't make any
no way.
noise. It's a piece of scrap metal.
I wonder if the people who are selling that put it on the shelf so that the crack is hidden. You know what I mean? It's like we don't want somebody to there's a crack in this bell. My God, they're not going to buy that. Are you out of your mind?
It's, by the way, that there were a bunch of bells that were when the British invaded a town, they would take the bells and melt them down and make shot out of them. And
Those bell melting British
right.
limey
So,
bastards.
the Liberty Bell, for a while, was actually put onto a farmer's wagon and covered up with hay and stuff and transported up to Allentown, where it was hidden under the floor of a church in Allentown, Pennsylvania for, I forget how long, maybe a year or two or more, until it was safe to bring it back to Philadelphia. So there's actually a tourist location you can go to in
Wow.
Allentown. It's not exactly like going to the place where the Liberty Bell is. It's kind of the place where you used to not be able to see that the Liberty Bell was. That's right.
The Liberty Bell slept here.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, all of that just to say, hit that little notification Liberty Bell on YouTube, and you will get, what you would expect. So for Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the
You heartless bastard.
thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making all of this glorious crapulence possible.